Okay, I need to update my introduction here. What you'll see in the following video is the review, but I need to make these notes. And when I did a real-time test, I'm going to omit the one with 2 gallons, 8 quarts, and I'm only going to put in the real-time test with the 1 gallon, 4 quarts. So that way when you guys see some of my notations, what I'm saying with that test, you'll know why I'm saying it, because I'm going to omit the 2 gallon test, the real-time test of how long it takes to suction out. Now I did call Harbor Freight, their customer service number, to try to find out with the capacity of 1/2 gallon per minute, what size compressor were they using to get that flow rate, to get that. So no one could tell me. So rather than have the you'll see what mine is, but like I said, when you get to that part, you'll understand what I'm saying, because you're not going to be seeing the one section. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. And I don't know if you guys got this. Maybe yours does better. My air compressor is I bought it at Sears back in like 1984. It's a Craftsman, but it actually has a tag welded on. It says Toledo, Ohio, DeVilbiss, just before DeVilbiss left Toledo. So it is a DeVilbiss 30-gallon tank, horizontal, permanently mounted, with a 2-cylinder single-stage pump. So I want to state that. So when you see that, it's not a 2-stage, just a single stage. So maybe with a bigger holding tank and a 2-stage, you might get better results. So again, I wanted to clarify this before we start with the actual video that I shot and intended to do. So okay, today I want to take a look at this oil extractor that I bought from Harbor Freight. It's a Central Pneumatic brand, 6 1/4 gallon, model 46149. One thing I do want to state, when I bought this, at the time of the sale, I was told that if I used it with oil, that it couldn't be returned, that I had to call this number. I'm assuming it's this number, and that if I wanted to return it, somehow they would give me some type of deal to where I'd go back and return it, and somehow show that I proved that I destroyed this one. Or if I didn't like it and wanted to return it, I had to do the same. So I just thought I'd point that out. Okay, so as might be expected, this is made in China. So this is a 1/2 gallon per minute extractor rate. Has a pressure gauge. The reservoir capacity is 6 1/4 gallons. The suction capacity is 4 1/4 gallons. So let's take a look at this a little closer. This is the handle, the suction handle that you would put your ends in. They go over these O-rings, and they look like you could obviously replace those if they went bad. It does come with a cap to put in there. On-off handle, valve. That hooks onto here. These are your suction tips. They give you 2 metal ones and then 3 nylon ones of various sizes. One thing I want to make note of is I like this material, whatever it is, this hose material. It's very supple. It's not rigid. You know, if you buy a lot of these weed sprayers, they come with these just unbelievably rigid hoses that you got to try to use when you're spraying. But this thing is very nice, very flexible, so happy to see that. I'm sure it'll hold up to the oil. That's probably what it's made for, but it's a nice hose. So let's look at the top end. Here's the handle that you would use to maneuver this tank. Comes with a gauge. This is a muffler for the air. I have ran air through it again. I have not used this yet. I am going to be doing a demonstration of this. But this allows the air, when it's sucking through, to exhaust through. You can rotate that. And another thing, this holder comes out of the tank if you want to take that off. Obviously when you're cleaning it out, taking the oil out of the extractor. It comes with this brass cap so that when you want to drain the tank of any oil that you've extracted, take the cap off. It does have a rubber seal within the cap. Now, this is not stock. Okay, I put this on. This is supposed to be the air inlet where you would connect your air hose. And they gave you something like this. So they give you a quick coupler that went in here, and then it was straight out. So obviously you've got this thing here which is somewhat in the way. But then they gave you this hose barb quick connect. And I couldn't figure out why they did that, because this is supposed to be the air inlet. You connect your shop air to this. Why the hell they had that, I don't know. So I just changed the quick coupler here, or the stud to my quick coupler that works in my shop to this, and put a 90 on it so it's going out the back so I can connect it a much better way of staying out of things. But again, the instructions are a little bit dicey in some respects, and it doesn't really say, and I couldn't figure out why they would want this. So anyways, I got rid of it. This connector wouldn't have worked even if it had the other stud on this end. I'm not going to change what I had, so this worked out much better. Now these are nice. You get these 4 accessory tips, or adapters I guess you'd call them. Your handle would go in here that I showed earlier. That would go into this end. And here it looks like you could get your own tubing, say metal tubing, that would fit around these O-rings, and on these two, and on these two, quite literally, if I was going to do this, I would just put a rubber hose around that. Looks like you could do this two-way. Put a rubber hose on the end, or put a metal tube over this O-ring. So I like that. This gives you a lot of flexibility here to be able to put a rubber hose on here and be able to get into an area that it may have to twist and turn. Okay, now I assume that's what those connectors, or what those adapters are for. You see the directions there on the ground. They're very sketchy. I looked through there. It doesn't even show them in the parts list, and doesn't even mention them in the pamphlet that they give you there, the instruction manual. So, but obviously common sense, so that's what that would be. But again, this isn't a complicated unit, but the directions don't really say too much. All right, let's look at the lower half of this unit. The wheels are approximately 1.25 inches wide. They've got like a rubbery material on a hard core, and they're 5 inches in diameter approximately. This is the, so here you're able to see how much you've extracted in this tube. As it goes in here, you'll see it come up in the tube, the oil. And we'll see that when I do my demonstration. And for all you attorneys out there, we can't forget this warning that's plastered on the side of the tank to prevent serious injury and property damage. Obviously, got to get those. They got to get the attorneys involved so they can make a little money too. So let's hook up some shop air. I've got my air set to 130 pounds. I'm not gonna. I'll show you something here. Let me hook it up. Now I've got to close the handle. The handle's open at the moment, so I'm going to close it. You'll see that the gauge will start to rise. Here's that muffler I was talking about. Now my air compressor turned on. Now remember, I've got my air compressor, it's a 30-gallon holding tank, and I had it set to 130 pounds of outlet pressure. As you can see, this must be the safety stuff right in here, because it's really not going much further. Obviously yellow means you'd want to disconnect your air or shut it off. I'm going to let it build a little bit more here. Okay, let me disconnect that. Now that gauge is holding very well. So let me zoom out. Let's take this handle here. Now you'll see what happens when because there's not suctioning anything yet. It's just going to be open to straight air. There's nothing that's going to be suctioning. So, but I'm going to open up the valve handle and we'll see what happens here. Alright, for the demonstration I'm going to do, I ended up buying some real cheap 10W40 motor oil. Bought 8 quarts, which is 2 gallons, and it was $1.99 a gallon, so I thought, well, I'll sacrifice that just to see how this thing works, to see if I'm even going to keep it. Again, remember, by putting oil in this, you cannot return it to the store conventionally, so I just remind you of that. I've got a timer that I'll use to time how long it takes to suck that out, and we'll just go from there, see how well this thing works. Now the probe I'm going to use is going to be the one they supplied, that is 5/16 by 27.5 inches long. Now that bucket, I did tip it up with a 2x4 so that when as it gets lower to this end, it'll be draining down towards this end here. Before we continue, let me just show you how these probes are constructed, and this is typical of whether it's the nylon or the metal tubes. Comes with this end here, it's a recess inside to accept a O-ring, and it's got like a collet type thing here where it's split on 4 sides, almost like a collet. So you'd put this in here, put the nut on, and that will jam up against that collet and washer. So I just thought I'd show that's how that's constructed. One other thing, guys, is with the dry O-rings, these go on really hard. So I put just a touch of oil, just put a little on my finger and wrapped it around on the edge of this. Now that goes on nice. Now there's the sight tube. Now I put 2 gallons, 8 quarts, which is 2 gallons in that bucket, and for all intent and purposes it was all out, and the quarts of oil were basically emptied. Now the tube doesn't show 2 gallons. It'd be nice if it did, because if somebody knew that they had a capacity of, say, whatever it was, in this case 2 gallons, they could tell that whatever they were trying to drain, whatever compartment, it would be fully drained. And here you wouldn't be able to tell. We know it's all drained because we see the bucket. But if it was internal, this might be misleading. So this does not read accurately, this tube. Well, as you can see, it says 1/2 gallon per minute extractor rate. Not sure how they're rating that. Obviously compressor size, volume of air, there are things that come into play there. But it was approximately 13 minutes and 54 seconds that it took to drain that 2 gallons, those 8 quarts, which is basically 14 minutes. That's 7 minutes per gallon. So that's what I got, 7 minutes per gallon. Okay guys, I'm going to redo this test. As you know, I was getting like 7 minutes per gallon, and what I found is at this end right here, they're all just hand tight. So I thought, let me just tighten that up with a wrench, torque that down. I don't know if I was losing any air, so I'm not losing air anywhere else. So this time I've got a 1 gallon, 4 quarts. We're going to see how long it takes to get rid of 4 quarts. Okay, so we're going to be competing with the sound of my air compressor, and the neighbor's starting to cut his grass. So I'm going to see, with this thing tightened, okay, whether I get any better than what I had. And when I turn this on, we'll start the timer. I'm going to stick it in here and try to turn this on at the same time as the timer. And see what happens. Well, this is working a whole lot faster. I think that's all it was, guys. I won't even show that other clip. If this is faster, I'm not even going to show that big clip that I had, because it was a little over 14 minutes. But all I did was ensure that this was tight. Because again, from the factory, they're all loose. They're just like kind of hand snugged, and I left them like that. But as you can see, that's moving down pretty quick. You can see where the mark was. So this is working a whole lot better. Again, this would be 1 gallon, 4 quarts. Yeah, let me, kind of hard to do this, holding the timer. Let me see if I can put this on here. There we go. That'll make it easier for me. You can still see that timer up there. Well, let's see here. 3 minutes. Maybe it won't. Maybe it's not any longer. I just thought I'd try it. I wanted to eliminate everything. And like I said, I didn't hear anything coming out of here. But I thought, well, let me tighten it up with the wrench, just to ensure that there were no leaks anywhere. But it looks like this might end up being 7 minutes also. Coming up on 4 minutes. Again, this is 10W40 oil. Five minutes. I tipped that so that oil would be at the bottom there. As soon as it empties, you'll start to see it gurgle up in here, air will come up. 6 minutes. Yeah, it looks like it is 7 minutes with my setup. I just wanted to make sure that I was getting good times. Everything else appears to be in order. Yep, there it is, 6 minutes 45 seconds. So that's about it then. That other test that I ran was good. By the way, guys, I was wrong. This is just painted. It's like aluminum. It's not brass. It's just aluminum that was painted. Because when I emptied this out, I wasn't holding it. I need to wrap it around something, and it fell down into the bucket I was pouring the oil in, so I cleaned it off with lacquer thinner, and it's not brass. I should have known better, but it's just aluminum that's painted that color.